Okay. This hearing is now in session and is being recorded. My name is Kelly Mines and I'm the hearing officer. Today is June 24th, 2025, and the time is 7:12 p.m. I did not receive any requests for accommodations to participate in this hearing by June 22nd. The purpose of this hearing is to provide an opportunity for the public on the proposed rules of ORR Chapter 690, Division 512. In addition to presenting oral comments at this hearing, anyone may submit written comments until 5 p.m. on August 7th, 2025, which is the close of the public comment period. You may send comments to Kelly Mines, KELLYMEINZ at Oregon Water Resource Department, 725 Summer Street Northeast, Suite A, Salem, Oregon 97301, or email wrd_DL_rule-coordinator@water.oregon.gov. Comments received after 5 p.m. on August 7th will not be reviewed or considered by the agency unless the agency decides to extend the public comment period for everyone. The department will not respond to questions during this hearing. After the closed public comment period, department personnel will prepare a staff report to the Water Resource Commission, which will be available from the department. So now I'm going to start calling people, starting with John Short. Please stand up and then say your name for the record.
John Short, and I want to state that the rules should absolutely take the RAC alternate for the reductions. And I'm sorry that there's winners and losers, but the that moves some of the burden to one of the worst overpumped areas, with the alternative essentially having almost no difference in groundwater discharge to springs or streams, almost no difference in ET, groundwater ET, natural groundwater ET, and it saves us 7 domestic wells going dry.
Eric Steen.
Eric Steen, I'd like to address and see what the rules going into effect to essentially render property values and everything borrowed against and being borrowed against currently by 1/3 on irrigated property. And we need to know how we're compensated for that, or where the right is to take 1/3 of our financial evaluation of the property we've already currently purchased. So that needs to be addressed, or if we're going to be resulted in 1/3 deduction.
Dan Otley.
I'm Dan Otley, Riddle Ranch. Our area on the our wells is I guess it would be on the far southern boundary of the area, of the sub area for the Crane Buchanan area, and I've been following the critical ground area water area rule making for the past 2 years. Until last month, I understood that my wells would probably be included in the Windy Point sub area. Although I am generally concerned about the critical water, groundwater area like others in Harnett County, the prior sub area proposal made more sense to me, as groundwater in the Windy Point area is different from groundwater to the north in the former proposed Crane Buchanan sub area. My wells and my neighbors' wells do not have the same recharge issues as wells to the north. Our groundwater issues are more similar to our neighbors to the south and west in lower Blitzen voltage area. And then in May 2025, OWRD published new maps proposing to consolidate sub areas and move my wells into the larger Northeast Crane sub area. At a minimum, I think the OWRD needs to explain the scientific rationale for this approach. And given that my wells were located in the far southern boundary of the Windy Point subarea. In the agency's original proposed subarea map, it is not clear why my wells are now being located in the Northeast Crane subarea. Moving my wells into the Northeast Crane subarea will significantly impact my business. My wells do not affect nor are affected by the Northeast Crane subarea, but they are affected and do affect the lower Blitzen voltage area. I'm requesting that the OWRD reconsider the Northeast Crane lower Blitzen voltage boundary line location. I'm requesting that the OWRD move the lower Blitzen voltage subarea, North Crane subarea boundary north to Windy Point, which is by the green line. So that's the line shown there. This makes sense based on hydrogeology and geography. It also will better support long-term groundwater management efforts like voluntary agreements. Under state law, OWRD is required to set subareas based on the presence of physical, natural boundaries, hydrological conditions, or recharge or discharge areas when possible. OWRD previously explained that RAC meetings at subareas are intended to group wells together that behave similarly. My wells do not behave similarly to the wells in Northeast Crane subarea. Namely, they do not have the same shortages and drawdown issues as the wells in Northeast Crane subarea. Instead, my wells and my neighbors' wells are more similar to the wells in the lower Blitzen voltage area. Importantly, my wells and my neighbors' wells are also physically separated from the Northeast Crane subarea by Windy Point, which I showed on the map. And there's another one that shows that the irrigation wells and pivots, and the line is the green line. I think on that one shows where it should be versus it. You can compare the pivots and the two subareas. And then OWRD has explained in its FAQ document that subarea boundaries are intended to support long-term groundwater management efforts like voluntary agreements. If this is the goal, it does not make sense to group my wells and my neighbors' wells with wells in Northeast Crane at subarea 20 miles or more to the north. Relocating the boundary line to Windy Point is consistent with sound science and is a better policy decision, as it would allow for more cooperative agreements between similarly situated landowners in the Windy Point and lower Blitzen voltage area. Thanks for your consideration.
Okay, I have called all the names of everyone who has commented orally. Is there anyone else who wish to comment at this time?
Oh, it's got scribbled on it, stuff.
You wish to make a comment? Yeah, so please state your name for the record.
My name is Martin Thompson, neighbor to Dan Otley from Riddle Branch. I'd like to reiterate his comments. We also were located in the Windy Point sub-basin, which has now been combined with the Northeast Crane sub-basin. And the physical separation is pretty profound from the rest of that basin. Windy Point's quite a large mountain, and logically looks like some sort of a fault zone. And thank you for considering my comments.
Does anyone else wish to make a public comment? Start with this gentleman. Please state your name.
My name is Dominic Bachman. I'm also a neighbor of Dan Otley's properties previously referred to. And I would agree that the Windy Point sub area made more sense, and it would make sense to agree with the Thompsons, and that we also feel that we're not put in the right place right now. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm Fred Otley, and I'm in the lower Blitzen voltage area also. probably 30 miles to the southwest from these folks' wells that they just spoke about. But when we looked at the well logs, especially the ones that were done accurately by using modern techniques, there is hydrogeological formations that separate that whole area from Windy Point south, away from Crane Buchanan. And when you look at the elevations of the groundwater static levels, there, it shows that separation. So, in addition to many other comments I have, focusing on that area, it makes more sense. It is defensible, geologically and technically and practically to separate that whole area by itself, actually. Because originally the department used that as the bathtub drain. Now they're actually saying the water's going north. There is no physical evidence documented other than certain assumptions and models that show that connection going north. There's some distinct flow patterns when you talk to well drillers that separate those flows out. So I think that's good input and definitely needs to be considered by the department.
Does anyone else wish to make a public comment? Okay, at this time, I'm gonna take a 10-minute break. Come back to see if anyone wants to make a comment, and then we'll adjourn the public hearing. So at this time, we're gonna pause the hearing for 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, it is June 24th, 2025, and 7:30 PM. Is there anyone else who wishes to make a public comment at this time? Thank you for coming, providing us with your comments. This hearing is adjourned.
Thank you all.